Tonight, no jab, no visit introduced to the Eyre Peninsula's hospital network. And uproar in the Spencer Gulf over the future of local cuttlefish populations.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf studios, your nightly news with John Hunt begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Entry into hospitals and aged care facilities on the Eyre Peninsula has become a whole lot harder today, with all visitors required to have had a flu shot. The strict crackdown aimed to protect the vulnerable during the coronavirus outbreak.
The next phase of restrictions rolling in to protect our most vulnerable.
In South Australia, it's now, as of today, a requirement that visitors to an aged care facility have had the flu vaccination.
Under the Emergency Management Act, anyone entering regional hospitals with adjoining aged care facilities will have to prove they've had this season's flu shot. Health officials say the crackdown will not restrict patients from seeking help.
If you're really unwell and you come to A&E, we're not going to ask you about your immunisation status. If you need medical support, then you will get that.
The move being implemented to protect the elderly residents living at regional health centres. Port Lincoln Hospital, the only exemption to the rule.
It's only in some of our hospitals that we can actually completely separate our aged care, but it's not actually desirable because then that restricts their home, basically.
As the world battles with coronavirus, the flu season brings its own concerns. 92 South Australians lost their lives to the flu last year.
Every flu season, the older population are at a high risk of having very poor outcomes if they get the flu. So we're doing the best to protect our residents.
Nathan REGTER, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
An Aboriginal elder has been arrested for protesting over coronavirus lockdowns in the Davenport community. He's now in mandatory 14-day isolation in Port Augusta West before he can return to his home.
Malcolm Mackenzie was fighting to keep the barricades down at his Davenport community yesterday. Today, he's in self-isolation, arrested by Port Augusta police over the incident.
And so this biosecurity thing was a month ago. And I think when they're trying to put the barricades up, I think it's illegal because they're supposed to do it from day one.
Malcolm wasn't charged with breaching the Biosecurity Act, instead being charged with disorderly behaviour. His plight receiving support from the Greens, who have called the actions heavy-handed.
To arrest a man and then remove him from his community and now isolate him in a caravan park away from his family at threat of a $63,000 fine to return home is an extraordinary overreach.
Malcolm says the restrictions implemented on his community have taken him back to dark memories.
Utterly disgraceful what's been done to our community. We've been treated, I don't want to say this, but we're going back to the 1950s where Aboriginal people didn't have a right to vote.
Malcolm says there was no communication over the lockdown, calling the restrictions unfair.
And that's the way we feel now. We've been singled out, and it's going back to the missionary days again, mate, where we were told what to do, when to do it. Now the same thing's happening to us.
The Premier responding this afternoon to the incident.
We know that we've got vulnerable citizens in remote Indigenous communities, and we've made a real effort to try to make sure that there are adequate food supplies and there are adequate consideration of what should happen if somebody does become infected with the coronavirus.
Laura MILOVANOVIC, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Discount supermarket chain Aldi is looking to set up a store in Broken Hill. The German-based business currently has a development application before the City Council for approval. Patrick REINCKE has the details.
This block of land here on the corner of Wills and Galena Street could soon be the home for a new Aldi store. The supermarket chain looking to open its first store in the far west of New South Wales.
I think it's good to help boost the Broken Hill economy, and I think it would be a good way to create jobs.
Aldi has submitted a development application with City Council to build an estimated $6 million store on the empty lot near Westside Plaza. The plan features greenery around the perimeter, a 91-space car park with sun shading and a loading dock on Will Street. Locals will be able to pull in off Galena and choose between 2 parking lots. The population giving mixed reactions upon hearing the proposal.
Smaller operators in Broken Hill, they're certainly going to be affected, which I think most people in Broken Hill really don't want to see them go.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely go there. I'm from Sydney originally, and I used to go shopping at Aldi quite a bit.
As a business myself and a small business, I prefer to support the smaller businesses around town.
In a statement, Council General Manager James Ronkin said the job creation and boost for the economy during construction and operation would have significant benefits for the community. Audi's DA can be viewed on the City Council's Development Application Tracker webpage.
Foundation Broken Hill is encouraging the city's businesses to keep filling out a coronavirus survey. The foundation is part of the Broken Hill Alliance, a formation of organisations focusing on supporting the local economy during the pandemic.
To try to ascertain what support it is that they actually need, because each business is different in size and different in needs. So the RDA has conducted a survey.
So far, over 130 businesses have filled out the survey. Still to come tonight, could two local MPs face off against each other at the next South Australian state election? And concern over the future of cuttlefish populations. Welcome back. Two popular regional MPs could be heading for a showdown at the next South Australian state election. The Liberal Party has proposed combining Port Pirie and Port Augusta into the seat of Stewart, potentially pitting Dan Van Holst-Pellecan against Jeff Brock.
They're two heavyweight MPs, but one of them could be out of a job at the 2022 state election. Jeff Brock and Energy Minister Dan Van Holst-Pellecan potentially facing each other after the Liberal Party proposed merging Port Pirie and Port Augusta into one seat.
I think each of the provincial cities up there should have their own representation, and also the outback, which Stan's doing a good job up there. If that's the way it finishes up, yes, I'd have to go against Dan Van Holst-Pellecan.
Under the proposal, Sturt would shrink and represent the two cities, along with land out to the New South Wales border. The northern part of Sturt would go into Giles, Labor's only regional seat, while Frome would cover Clare, Crystal Brook and Port Broughton.
I would take that as it comes, and if re-elected, represent those new communities to the best of my ability.
Liberal-leaning Cow would be moved back into the seat of Flinders.
The Liberal Party submission, of course, was to make minor changes to the seat of Flinders. Only minor changes, which would leave it pretty much intact as it was.
Labor also proposing a radical reshift, cutting seats north of Adelaide from 5 to 4, following a downturn in population.
They would like to see a regional seat abolished and one added to the northern suburbs of Adelaide, where, surprisingly, the Labor Party do quite well.
I think that's a damn insult to the democracy and the rights of regional people.
In a shock move, Dan Van Holst-Pellecan has proposed placing Kangaroo Island back into the seat of Flinders. Questions are now mounting over how Peter Treloar would be able to manage the new electorate, being hundreds of kilometres away by sea and road.
Kangaroo Island has been in the seat of Flinders previously, I think for the 1993 election. My view is that the regional economy is very much based around the same support mechanisms, that being agriculture, tourism and a bit of fishing.
Dan Van Holst-Pellecan declined to comment. Nathan REGTER, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Recreational fishers can now target cuttlefish in open waters after the South Australian government relaxed a ban. However, the minister says the Point Lowly Cuttlefish Protection Zone will remain permanently closed.
A devastated dive shop owner wanting answers from the South Australian government.
I'm really baffled about it. I don't understand why it would even be considered, because this aggregation is so important and means so much to the world.
Restrictions on fishing for the cuttlefish have been lifted outside the Point Lowly region. However, concerns have been raised over the impact on local businesses.
If we have to face next year with reduced numbers because we've lost this protection this year, what's the result then?
Thousands of tourists visit the region each year to see the spectacular aggregation. The minister in charge reassuring locals the protected zone will not be affected.
I want to make it very clear that the permanent closure from Point Lowly round to False Bay will be permanently closed, and I want every South Australian to understand that this decision has been based on the latest available science.
However, member for Giles says lifting the ban will leave the cuttlefish vulnerable once again.
There was no consultation with the communities around the northern Spencer Gulf. There was no consultation with the fishing industry.
SOPHIA Kontogonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
3 red heeler cross puppies have been found dumped in a Whyalla alleyway, causing great concern for the RSPCA. They're encouraging local pet owners to support them by purchasing pet supplies via their online website during the pandemic. The malnourished puppies will cost $2,000 to look after before they go off to a good home. The RSPCA says the initiative is aimed at making it easier for animal lovers to look after their pets. Broken Hill's recent wild weather has prompted local police to remind Silver City drivers to only be on the road for essential reasons. The message comes after the town was hit with treacherous dust and rainstorms.
Engulfed in dust and hammered by rain and wind, the last few days in Broken Hill have been tough to drive in. Local police urging local motorists to drive to the conditions, however rare they may be.
We do get rain, which is often very pleasing to have, but it does have an impact on the roads. We end up with flooding and road changes and parts there, as well as the risk in high winds of falling trees.
Inspector Fuller says while most Australians have to deal with common road conditions with wind and rain, Broken Hill drivers experience dust storms more often. Some of the Silver City's worst storms cut driver visibility to 15 to 20 metres.
Once your visibility starts to go, everyone else's visibility of the road is also suffering the same as yours. Key messaging is slow down. If you can't see where you're going, best idea if you can safely move off to the edge of the road.
Officers also reminding locals to have an essential reason for being on the roads. A South Australian man narrowly avoided a $1,000 fine after he was found camping on the outskirts of town. He allegedly told police he was bored and wanted to go to Lightning Ridge.
If you're not sure as to where you're going or why, if it's allowed, you need to check the government websites, check the government apps that is there, the clear information that's coming out.
Patrick REINCKE, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. Whyalla businesses leading the fight against single-use plastics. And local golf courses targeting new members during the coronavirus outbreak. South Australia could become the first state in the country to ban single-use plastics, with legislation going through state parliament. However, many businesses across our region are already making the change.
No more plastics. This Whyalla restaurant doing their part to start the trend in the community.
I think plastic ends up in the ocean 99% of the time, and that really affects our fish, particularly the small fish.
Leading the way in saving our environment, the Whyalla Motor Inn removing plastics from its business a few years back.
We've never used plastic knives and forks. We have used over the years plastic straws, but we don't now. We use the paper straws.
A bill has been introduced to Parliament, banning on the distribution of items such as straws, cutlery and beverage stirrers in South Australia.
It's been a great moment. We know that South Australians are strongly behind this ban, at least 90%, if not more.
A change, Barbara says, is needed in order to save our Spencer Gulf beachfronts.
We're very, very fortunate in Australia to have a wonderful opportunity to look over our beautiful beaches right across Australia, and particularly Whyalla has a wonderful beach.
Businesses won't need to make the change just yet. The final decision date pushed back in wake of the COVID-19 pandemic.
We're delaying the introduction of the final legislation, or the commencement date of the legislation, I should say, by a few months to deal with the transitions around coronavirus.
Sophia Kontogonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Clare Valley's Lions Green Team are encouraging locals to come visit the Gleeson wetlands, describing it as one of their signature projects. Members work tirelessly to protect its flora and fauna.
A jewel in Clare Valley's crown, these wetlands are a testament to the hard work of the local Lions Club. A 6-year project now turned into a popular tourism site.
Formed a small group, the Green Team,
And we came down here, decided what we needed to do and started planting and mulching.
Working to keep the flora and fauna in balance, volunteers say they're kept busy, including keeping a close eye on water levels.
Concerned about water levels simply because if there's water in there, it creates a good ecosystem. The one behind me is the middle pond. They never dry out. They have not dried out in the 6 years we've been involved.
This birdhouse remains a popular attraction for these local residents.
Plenty of ducks and coots, and the bird hide to my left, of course, is where we come down. A lot of bird watchers come down, take photographs, and we bring some school children down here.
The area seeing an increase in visitors using this facility. Volunteers say with social distancing measures still in place, many are looking to leave their homes and get some fresh air.
This time last year, it was 978 usages from the tracker. I checked it this morning and it was over 2,700 usages.
And they're encouraging all residents to visit.
Taken surveys here, sat down here on many Sunday mornings, asking people if they're locals or if they're visitors, why did you come here, how did you find out about it and that type of thing.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Whilst many sports in Port Augusta are currently in limbo, the golfing greens are still open for a swing. The club captain hoping to gain some more players in the next few months.
Although the doors aren't open, the fairways are still getting used.
The member feedback that we're getting is they're very grateful that they've been on board all the way.
While many sports clubs remain shut, the Port Augusta Golf Course remains open. The club now offering a sports members discount for those looking for an outdoor activity.
$200 you can get a 4-month membership, May, June, July, August.
They say they're hoping to see some new faces out on the green.
So we're encouraging everyone around, netballers, footballers, basketballers, soccer players, whatever sport you may be into.
Although it isn't business as usual, with restrictions in place on the fairway.
Putting their names on the timesheet, 10-minute intervals for games, not touching the flagstick and marking your own card and picking your own ball out of the hole.
And with sport unlikely to start in the near future, the club is hoping it can retain members going forward.
If you don't like it after a few months, well, go back to your football or your tennis or your basketball or whatever. But anyhow, we're here and we'd love to see you.
Richard says healthy membership numbers are important to ensure the course is in top condition.
The fairways are in good heart and they too have to be cut and watered. So there's still ongoing costs that we need to keep this asset to the town up and running.
Laura MILOVANOVIC, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Britt will join us with a look at the weekend weather forecast. Those details next. Hello again. Clare Valley residents are being urged to leave their old newspapers outside for collection by the local Rotary Club this Sunday. Collection will start at 8:30 in the morning from the curbside, with residents also able to drop a bundle into Clare's Mitre 10 collection bin. The Rotary Club say they've stopped thousands of tons of paper from entering landfill. No flyers or glossies will be accepted during the collection. To the weather now, and after a chilly week of rain, wind and thunderstorms, conditions will begin to clear over the weekend. Here's Britt with the details.
Thanks, John. We are still expecting showers tomorrow, but conditions are looking much drier on Sunday. I'll have more on that in a moment, but first let's take a look at today. It's only the 1st of May, but this week it's felt like winter. Port Augusta reached just 19 degrees today. 19 was also the high at Whyalla. Port Pirie recorded a top of 18. Broken Hill and Port Lincoln both 17 degrees. Woodner and Kadina 16. To today's skies, where we saw scattered cloud with brisk winds in the wake of a wintry front, bringing showers over coastal areas. Tomorrow, a strong wind warning is in place for the Spencer Gulf, with southwesterly winds at up to 30 knots, seas at 2 to 3 metres. A shower or two expected at Port Lincoln tomorrow with a top of 19. The same at Woodner, Cleve, showers and 18. Possible showers over Whyalla and Port Augusta, both expected to reach 20 degrees. Kadina 19. Showers and 18 at Port Pirie, Clare 15, Broken Hill remaining dry with a partly cloudy top of 17. Sunday, possible showers about the lower Eyre Peninsula, but looking fine and partly cloudy elsewhere. A top of 18 degrees at Whyalla, Port Pirie and Kadina. Monday, mostly sunny, a chilly top of 14 at Broken Hill, elsewhere maximums in the late teens. And a bright and sunny day expected on Tuesday with a little bit of cloud cover about the south. 21 the top at Port Augusta and Whyalla. And John, that is your weekend weather. I am looking forward to seeing some sunny skies next week.
Thanks, Brett. Have a good weekend. And that's your local news for the week. A reminder, you can keep up and catch up on social media via our Facebook, Twitter and YouTube pages. I'm John Hunt. Thanks for your company. I'll have updates later and we'll be back on Monday at 7 p.m. Have a great weekend. Good night.